I have retired all NASCAR Cup Series champions on the current NASCAR roster and have replaced them with new drivers who will become a new champion. We will determine that here today as we simulate through this 2023 season. Ryan Blaney included on the drivers that are out after he won the championship IRL, and we kick things off immediately in Daytona. Several drivers now off the roster, including half of Hendrick Motorsports, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, they are gone. Eric Jones actually won the Daytona 500 in the Legacy Motor Club number 43, and you can see Carson Hocevar in place of Kyle Larson, Rajah Caruth in the 9 for Chase Elliott, John Hunter Nemechek in the 19 for Martin Truex Jr., as well as Joey Logano is out for Riley Herbst. Ryan Blaney gone. Cole Custer goes into his car in the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. Now has the Josh Berry in there from the Xfinity Series. Kyle Busch also gone in the 8. Austin Hill has gone in his place. And John Hunter Nemechek would win the second race of the season in the 19 car. The last driver out, Brad Keselowski, in the 2012 Cup Series champion he was, and it's Ty Majeski in his place now as we would roll into race number 3 from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Who would pick up the win in this third race? It was William Byron in the number 24 car. Carson Hocevar and Austin Hill, two drivers there with a top 10 effort now. You got to remember as well, top 30 in points in this game make the playoffs, so going to be interesting to see this win in your in scenario and how it works. We jump into Phoenix Raceway, and it was Rajah Caruth picking up his first Cup Series win, and actually had to hold off BJ McLeod of all people in the 78 car, who was nearly able to pick up the victory here from Phoenix. That would have been a heck of an upset there, and we expect upset winners. We've already had one with Eric Jones in the Daytona 500. We roll into Atlanta Motor Speedway, and in current form NASCAR, this is now a super speedway type race, so this opens the door wide open for another surprise winner, which we've already seen at the only other super speedway so far from the Daytona 500 with that 43 car. So what would it be here in Atlanta? Well, it was actually just Ross Chastain. So Chastain holds off Riley Herbst in the number 22 for the victory. So Chastain will get a chance to fight for a championship this season. With all the champions gone now, this surely has to be the perfect scenario for Denny Hamlin to finally win his first title, you would think. But now to the first road course of this season here. Obviously opens the door for some surprise winners, such as maybe Shane Van Gisbergen, as well as any other part-time goers here now. But surprisingly, we wouldn't see those guys win. It was a regular, but it was a road ringer regular. Michael McDowell picking up his first win of the season. So McDowell now into the playoffs. You could consider that 2 surprise playoff drivers. Now we're guaranteed a new champion, of course, with this video, but who's going to be able to survive the playoff format? That's the big question now as we would jump through into Richmond Raceway here for some short track racing, and it was won by Denny Hamlin. Hamlin locks himself into the playoffs, and what I think is a guarantee for him to finally win that first championship in the NASCAR Cup Series. Can he pull it off? And then we would have race 8 on the way from Bristol Dirt, but beforehand, let's take a look at the standings now. This is the playoff grid. All new winners all season. 7 new winners in 7 races. Austin Hill, Bubba Wallace, Suarez being the bottom 3 currently in the playoffs. And then we would head to the dirt at Bristol. This is another potential curveball race that could allow a surprise winner to give themselves a playoff berth and a potential chance to win a NASCAR Cup Series, championship here. And it was actually Michael McDowell who started out in front of this race. Wasn't expecting him to hold on, and he wouldn't hold on. It was Justin Haley, a surprise winner nonetheless in the 31, who would pick up the victory there for Colleague Racing. So now Justin Haley will have a chance there in the playoffs, and that now makes it 8 races, 8 different winners so far in this season. Half the playoff grid already locked up. Martinsville Speedway, the paperclip. Carson Hocevar goes 9 for 9 on the winners. He picks up his first Cup win in the number 5 car, and now the drivers lower in the playoff grid have to start getting concerned after just 9 races on the season. Only 7 spots remain for points. And Hamlin actually going into Talladega leads the playoff standings currently, but you can see Herbst the best of no wins. Suarez the last guy in right now, just behind Austin Hill. Talladega, who's going to win here? My guess was Hamlin or Bubba Wallace. I was right. Bubba Wallace makes it 10 for 10 with the victory in Talladega, his second Talladega victory of his career, and now he will be, of course, in the playoffs as well to fight for a championship. So we've had 10 races, 10 different winners. surely we can't go 11 for 11, right? We have to get a multi-time winner at some point here now. And we go into Dover, and, well, we have a new winner. It's Cole Custer in the number 12 car. So 11 for 11. At some point, we need to find a repeat winner. Only 5 spots remain already on points, and we're not even halfway through the regular season. Well, we would get a potential repeat winner on the way in just a moment. There's to see Herbst, Barry, Bell, Suarez, Bowman, the ones in on points. Custer would go back-to-back and win in Kansas the next week. So finally, a repeat, maybe relieving a little bit of stress for the drivers on points and giving them hope that we're not going to see a whole bunch of new winners from this point on here through the rest of this regular season. We would roll through into Darlington next, following Kansas, the Lady in Black. Of course, a too tough to tame racetrack. Such a difficult racetrack in Darlington. You really see what drivers have the most skill kind of come out and, do well in Darlington. If you win in Darlington, you earned it here unless something crazy happens. Christopher Bell picks up the victory. Really not surprising to see that, but that is another new winner. So 13 races, 12 different winners, 4 spots remain on just points here now. And we were rolling through in towards the Coke 600, one of the biggest races of the season. And now Suarez, Bowman, the bottom 2, Hill out by 12, Majeski in the 6th car out by 25 as the Coke 600, the longest race of the year, would get underway from Charlotte Motor Speedway now. And you got Austin Cindric running back here. It was a 22 of Riley Herbst on the pole position. He's trying to get to victory lane for this Penske Racing team. The 12 of Cole Custer has already done it, and it sure enough would happen. Riley Herbst would pick up the victory in Charlotte. So another new winner, and him in his rookie season in the Cup Series will advance into the playoffs and have an opportunity to go win a Cup Series championship there, as you do see a couple of repeat names there of Custer and Hill, which is just a little modding error I had. But only 3 spots now remain on points as we were headed in to Gateway, where Custer actually becomes a 3-time winner on the season. So he's the only multi-time winner this season, and he's got 3 of them. Everybody else locked at just 1 win following Gateway, as we were headed in to race 16, Sonoma Raceway. Everything changes. JJ Yaley picks up the victory, and guess what? He is in the top 30 currently in the standings, so that will put him in the playoffs. A surprise win as we go into the summer months of the season. He's 27th in the standings as we were looking at the playoff grid. There he is, only 2 spots on points now. Josh Berry, Daniel Suarez, 17 points ahead of Bowman, and it was Noah Gragson who would win in Kentucky the next race. So now that's going to put another driver that's way low in the standings, but in the top 30 in the game, which puts him into the playoffs, which means now it's just going to be Josh Berry remaining in the playoffs on points as Gregson and Yaley pick up those wins there to propel them in, both Legacy Motor Club cars in the playoffs. Road America was next, so we're back road course racing, which once again presents more opportunity for another surprise winner potentially, to see a guy like a Gregson or JJ Yaley get into the playoffs. We just saw Yaley win the last road race at Sonoma Raceway. Will we see another surprise winner? The answer was yes. Austin Hill in the 62, the Cologne Austin Hill, picks up the victory, and that will put him for now in the playoffs. This is where things get interesting. We now have 16 winners on the season. That obviously means 16 drivers in the playoffs all got to win. You now have to win your way into the playoffs no matter what, unless somebody falls outside of the top 30 in the standings. Riley Herbst picks up his 2nd win of the season in race number 19 from Atlanta. Only our 2nd multi-time winner of the year, and now you need 2 wins to guarantee yourself in the playoffs with 16 different winners. Following that, New Hampshire, Custer wins his 4th race of the season. He is having a spectacular drive in the car that won the Real Life Cup Series Championship in 2023 of Ryan Blaney, of course, behind the wheel. So following New Hampshire, Christopher Bell picks up another win. So now we're starting to see some multi-time winners. We now have 3 drivers with multiple wins. So 3 drivers for sure locked in no matter what the situation is following Pocono. And then after Pocono, wow. BJ McLeod wins in Richmond. 16 playoff drivers, 17 winners. So how does this affect, of course, the playoff grid? We're going to take a look here momentarily, because this is going to start continuously spicing things up. Drivers that are in the top 16 in points are not going to make the playoffs right now, because look, McLeod actually is 33rd in the standings, so this actually doesn't affect the playoff grid yet that we just saw. So if McLeod gets into the top 30, everything will change. Well, Ross Chastain picked up his second win of the season, while McLeod got 7th in Michigan. So he was doing exactly what he needed to do in Michigan and these closing races of the regular season, less than 5 races to go in the regular season to get in that top 30 in the standings. We go to the Indianapolis road course where Josh Berry wins, gets into the playoffs, and McLeod finishes second. He's on an absolute tear. A win, a top 10, and then a second place result in the Indianapolis road course. And now let's see what the final 2 regular season races on the way, how this affects the standings here. So McLeod right now is into the mix in the top 30 in the standings. Barry's moved up to 8th in the playoffs with a win, but Noah Gragson and McLeod, now that we've had 18 different winners, are both outside of the playoffs, but you see it, that Gragson is only out by 6 and McLeod is only out by just a few more points than Noah Gragson, and they are, of course, they're just chasing the guys that have wins in front of them on points, so it is a points race now. Rajah Caruth wins Watkins Glen. That's his second win of his Cup Series rookie season in the number 9, replacing Chase Elliott, of course, the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series champion. As you can see, going into now the Daytona regular season finale. Here's the situation. Gragson needs to beat Hill by 3 points to get in the playoffs, and McLeod needs to beat both Gragson and Hill. He's 5 points out if he wants to get into the playoffs here, because they have wins. But when you have more winners than playoff spots, it becomes a points race again. McLeod starts at the back, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can pull this off as the regular season finale in Daytona got underway. Right behind this number 84 of Jimmy Johnson, helped from behind with the 21 of Harrison Burton. But at the end of the regular season finale, it was Cole Custer getting win number 5 of the season. And where is everyone else? Gragson, McLeod, those are the 2 to watch. McLeod 24th. He beats Gragson on points. So what does the playoff grid look like? Hill down in 37th means he misses the playoffs. The 62 is out, and the drivers that end up making it, you see Gragson misses it as well. So the 2 surprise winners that end up making it with the points is going to be BJ McLeod as well as JJ Yaley. You see the playoff grid. Custer, the top seed, 29 points above the cut line. Hamlin, Bell, Herbst, Chastain, Caruth, Byron, Josh Berry, John Hunter Nemechek, Carson Hocevar, McDowell, Bubba Wallace, McLeod, as well as Yaley, Haley, and Eric Jones, the Daytona 500 winner. As the first race of the playoffs was won by Ross the Boss Chastain over Nemechek and Hamlin, so Chastain already locks himself into the second round, the round of 12 now, as of course my card not anywhere close to the playoffs. We're just here for the fun of watching the madness ensue. So Chastain advances already, as you see the rest of the grid going into the final 2 races of this opening round, and out of the round right now is Jones by 1, Bubba Wallace out by 5 points, Yaley out by 13, as well as Justin Haley out by a little bit more, or sorry, McDowell out by 21, not Haley. Haley's in. Going into race 2, Bell wins in Kansas, so he locks himself in, and Haley has another good result in the top 20, so he's looking like he's going to advance potentially into this round of 12, and we'll take another look at the grid. And here it was going into the elimination race of this first round. Hocevar out by 2, Wallace out by 7, 21 and 44 for Yaley and McDowell. So they basically have to win. Those are 2 drivers you expect to see get eliminated, and it looks like it's going to happen. Bristol, well, we came to it, it happened, and at the end of the day, Nemechek was leading early, but it was Bell who goes back-to-back with another win. Nemechek only 1 win on the season. As you can see, Hocevar, he had a top 10. That might be enough to advance him into that round of 12. It should be enough to advance him into that round of 12. Haley down in 33rd place. Not a good effort for him. And how would that affect him in the playoff grid? You're going to see it right here down the order, and unfortunately out. Jones, Haley, Yaley, and McDowell all eliminated there, as Chastain would win the first race of the round of 12 at Texas. So Chastain won the first race of the round of 16. He wins the first race of the round of 12 to punch his ticket into the round of 8. So following that, you can see now we have a 3-way tie right here for the final spots in the round of 8. But McLeod is up by 10, Hocevar out by 8, Bubba Wallace, Elliott both tied for the final spot which currently belongs to Josh Berry. Bubba Wallace would go back-to-back wins in Talladega. He sweeps Talladega for the year, so that takes his name out of the conversation of potential elimination. He will advance to the round of 8 and have a chance to fight for a championship, for a position in a championship at Phoenix Raceway potentially, and that would affect the playoff grid even more as Bubba picks up the victory. Byron out by 19, Hocevar 28, 29 for Carruth, as well as 44 for McLeod. So all 4 names basically have to go into the Charlotte road course and find victory lane. And that's going to be hard for all of them, especially the 9 of Rajah Carruth, who started just behind myself at the back of this grid there after he had an inspection issue. So you could practically write him off as we were all just smashing into each other right here into the corner. Chastain at the back as well, but he's already locked in to the round of 8. And at the end of the day, it was Michael McDowell getting his 2nd win of the season, 2nd road course win. Carruth would get all the way up to 2nd. But unfortunately, for the 9, he came in so far below the cut line, a 2nd place would not be enough to advance the Hendrick car into the round of 8, and all the Hendrick cars that made the playoffs were out in the round of 12. Carruth out by 14, Byron by 22, Hocevar 31 in the 5, McLeod way out, and this was the grid going into the round of 8. These are the 8 drivers remaining, and the points they have to work with. Barry has made it, Nemechek, Bubba Wallace, Herbst all below the cut line. The first race of the round of 8, Chastain. Chastain has won the first race of each round so far to punch his ticket into the next one, but this one more important than any other. Chastain now into the final 4 at Phoenix Raceway with a chance to win his first Cup Series championship here. Now, as you can see, Custer good by 21, Bell 17, Herbst 2, Hamlin out by 2, 11, 30, and 37 for Nemechek, Berry, and Wallace. Hamlin, however, wins in Miami, gets his 2nd win of the season, so now Hamlin, sure enough, advances into the final 4 at Phoenix. So we know we got Chastain versus Hamlin at the bare minimum for a championship here, and I've been saying it all video long, Hamlin, this has got to be the way he wins it. Custer goes into the final race of the round, 23 above the cut line, 19 for Bell, and basically everybody below has to win except for Herbst, who could still point his way in. So we come into Martinsville with everybody's backs against the wall. Can Herbst find the points to get in? And everybody else has to find a way to go to victory lane. Carson Hocevar started out in front here in Martinsville. This got eliminated, of course, from that round of 12. And at the end of the day, it was the imposter Cole Custer in the 51 who actually picked up the win, not the Custer that would like to have won in the 12 car. And you can see the rest of the finishing order here down the order: Suarez, Gregson, Yaley, Burton, McLeod, myself, and Chandler Smith. So this would set the final 4 grid. The 4 drivers that would advance is going to be Chastain, Hamlin, Bell, and Riley Herbst picked up enough points through the stages, through the final stage, to beat Cole Custer for the final spot in the final 4. So Riley Herbst has a chance to become a Cup champion here in just a few moments. Custer, Nemechek, Berry, Wallace all out. 1 race remains. Phoenix Raceway, the final 4, winner take all. Whoever finishes the best of the 4 between Bell, Hamlin, Chastain, as well as Herbst, win the championship. Very straightforward, as it was immediately Christopher Bell out in front of this race, and Denny Hamlin actually started this race in 2nd, so Hamlin was right there with them, with the other 2 following a little bit further back right here as we went down this back straightaway into turn 3. And at the end of the day, I expected Hamlin to be getting that first Cup Series championship. But would that be the case? Well, let's take a look at the finishing results here in Phoenix Raceway. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Christopher Bell finishes the best of the final 4 in 3rd. He wins his first Cup Series championship, while Hamlin was not even the 2nd best. Riley Herbst was 2nd in the title. Chastain was 3rd with the 7th place result. Hamlin was the worst of the 4, finishing in 9th. The year we thought it might be perfect for Hamlin to finally win it as all the champions are gone. It wasn't enough, and Christopher Bell wins the title as Hocevar wins the race, Berry in 2nd. And that is a season simulated with a new champion guaranteed after we retired the whole roster of Cup Series champions. If you guys enjoyed this kind of video, let me know down below, and we're going to continue series like this. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.